Good morning. It is October 18 and I am staying at Willow Creek Campground, which is the name of the campground at Ward Charcoal Oven State Historic Park. I think this will be an interesting hike today. They have a number of trails, so I think I'll just go where my nose points me to. You can really hear that creek. Can't see it though. You probably know by now that I sleep in my car. I just love my bed. It's the coziest thing. I'm so blessed and it's quite comfortable too. But if you know me, you know my biggest fear is dealing with rodents. I'm just petrified that rodents will get in my car. And I pray really hard every day that God will spare me from that. So last night was my worst night of the trip because I kept thinking I was hearing noises and I didn't sleep. And then when I got up this morning, there was mouse droppings in one of my containers, which I try and leave everything enclosed. Like that's why I have a big cooler and I have food stuff in bags, and I try and, make it unattractive to rodents. But in my dish soap container, which is open, there was a lot of droppings. So I guess it wasn't my imagination last night, but it doesn't look like they got in my car. So I want to know from you, have you guys had any experiences with rodents, mice in your vehicle? And how do you keep them away? And what are your stories? So anyway, recently I had to get my oil changed in Elko, and the mechanic told me my air filter was really bad. So I went out and looked, and yeah, it sure was. And when he lifted the air filter up, there was a dead mouse under the air filter. So that's just too close for comfort. So now I'm really paranoid. So anyway, I asked him what else he's found under the hood. And I said, have you found any snakes under there ever? He goes, no, but I had a kitten once and a bunny. So yeah, tell me what you found under your hood or other people's hoods. Anything interesting? Oh, the stories people can tell. Anyway, yeah, so pray for me, because I need help dealing with my rodent fear. That's the one thing that stops me from boondocking more. Like I would go out in the wilderness and just park and camp. But yeah, I'm just so scared of mice infestations. I've been so traumatized in the past by them. Anyway, enough about rodents. Let's see what this trail's all about. I'm on a part of the section of the trail that's called the Riparian Loop right now. So this cement, interesting thing. What history does that have? Well, let's continue on with our talk through the Bible. Just before Moses was about to die, God had Moses bring Joshua to the tabernacle to be inaugurated by God. Can you imagine Joshua, how he must have felt knowing he was taking Moses' place and being commissioned by God? What a somber event for sure. Moses made it clear to all the congregation of Israelites that Joshua was to be their new leader. And he said to Joshua in the sight of all Israel, "Be strong and of good courage. The Lord your God, He is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you." Well, I can see why it's called Willow Creek. A sweet bench right beside the water. Another thing God had Moses do before his soon death was to take the book of the law, which is the book of Deuteronomy, and put it beside the Ark of the Covenant. It was to be a witness against them. This means the scrolls served as proof of the detailed terms and principles of the divine-human covenant relationship for which the people were accountable. Now, how sturdy is this bridge? At least it's just a little stream if I fall in. It's okay. See, it looks like I should be going that way. Looks like a good path, but I think that's just a cow path. It's sure a good thing I took a picture of the map system. Here's a faint trail. It's flowing pretty good this time of year, don't you think? It's kind of fun being a navigator and reading maps and stuff because it's not well marked, that's for sure. But it's very pretty, I would say. You can see down into the valley. If you will recall, the Ark contained the 10 Commandments. So these Deuteronomy laws were pretty important to be placed beside it. Jesus himself quoted from Deuteronomy when he was on the earth. Then Moses sang a song and gave his final blessing on Israel. Oh, I finally have some signage. All right, I'm going to do the ridgeline loop. Then Moses trudged alone to the top of Mount Nebo. Up there, he was allowed to partially experience Canaan by seeing it. Because if you will remember, God would not let Moses enter Canaan because of his sin in striking the rock to get water instead of speaking to it. And he also said, "Must we fetch you water?" instead of giving God all the glory. In all their wanderings, the children of Israel were tempted to attribute to Moses the special work of God, the mighty miracles that had been done to deliver them from Egyptian bondage. They charged Moses with bringing them out of the land of Egypt. And it's true, God did manifest himself wonderfully to Moses. He had specially favored him with his presence, and to him God even revealed his glory. And he talked with Moses as to a friend. But the Lord had given evidence after evidence that it was he himself who was working for their deliverance. So when Moses said, "Must we fetch you water out of this rock?" Moses virtually said to the people that they were correct in believing that he himself was doing the mighty work that had been done in their behalf. This made it necessary for God to prove to Israel that his admission was not founded on fact. To dispel forever from the minds of the Israelites the idea that a man was leading them, God found it necessary to allow their leader to die before they entered the land of Canaan. Moses died with no other people there. Just God was with him. I certainly am making my own way through a cow pasture, but I see where I do need to be, so that's where I'm going. But yeah, not very good markings on this trail at all. And I'm having to jump over streams. Not too bad. Oh, apparently that's where I was supposed to have come from. I didn't catch that one. Anyways, this is now the overlook trail I'm gonna do, hopefully. But what is this over here first? First thing of interest. Oh, this is kiln number 2. Cool. Got a bit more interest on this trail. Then it says God buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, and no one knows where his grave is. This burial shows the Lord's special care for the leader who is uniquely close to him. rather than burying him on Mount Nebo, where the Israelites would have expected to find his grave, God buried him somewhere in the valley where the Israelites were camping. Keeping the grave a secret may have been to prevent the Israelites from making it a place of worship. Oh yeah, this is a nice overlook. But we know that God raised Moses to life and took him to heaven at some point because it says so in the New Testament. Oh, my first glimpse of the kilns, the backsides of them anyway. Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eyes were not dim, nor his natural vigor diminished. They mourned for him 30 days, and then Joshua took over. Okay, finally getting to the good part of the trail. But clearly, I'm on the wrong side of the fence. There's a fence here. These ovens were constructed during the mid-1870s and are larger and of finer construction than most other ovens found in Nevada. They are 27 feet in diameter and 30 feet high, with a capacity of about 35 cords of wood, which was burned for a period of 12 days to produce about 50 bushels of good solid charcoal per cord. Beehive-shaped ovens are a more efficient way of reducing pinyon pine and juniper to charcoal than the earlier method of piling wood in an open pit and lighting it on fire. The ovens allow control over how hot and how long the fire burns, important when producing quality charcoal. The charcoal was used in the smelters at nearby Ward, about 30 to 50 bushels being required to reduce 1 ton of ore. Each filling of one of these ovens required the total tree crop from 5 or 6 acres of land. During the late 1870s, the hills and mountains around many mining camps were completely stripped of all timber for a radius of up to 35 miles. As railroads penetrated the West, charcoal was replaced by coke made from coal, and the charcoal industry faded. The real worth of the old charcoal ovens is their historical function in reminding present-day Americans of a now-vanished industry without which the great silver and lead bonanzas of the early West could not have been harvested. Oh, it's gone. Unreal. So that was fun. I enjoy learning about history. However, the healing hiker rating for the trails around here, at least the trails I did, are a 1 out of 5. It's the worst rating I've given in a long, long time. If I didn't have that map and All Trails doesn't have all the trails around, but the one that I had to bushwhack, thankfully I was guided by All Trails, and there's cell service around here, so that's nice. But yeah, I can't really recommend hiking around here. Come to visit the charcoal ovens if you want, but don't bother hiking. And now I gotta get back to camp and see if there's any mice. Go through all my belongings and see if there's any mice in there. Something I hate to do, but I have to. Moses was a great man, and it's been suggested that he was a type of Christ. So tell me in the comments how you see Moses as a type of Christ.